we're gonna do one last thing. This point here extends into the deep water. We're gonna trace this point into the deep water, and we'll see if there is fish on the point. Yellow bass, something like that, just to confirm everything. Maybe there is a few dots here. I'm in 16 feet, folks. This is not where I caught them last time with the champion. This cold front just did a number on me. I don't see them, but these, if it's yellow bass, it's worth casting if you see like dust on the bottom, because it takes one lure to aggravate them and the whole school comes up. They just need something to aggravate them. Wow, even on the point. Oh, what happened? I was gonna say, even on the point there is nothing. Even on my winter pattern. What the hell did I hook here? Is it a carp? What the? Completely nothing. Look, there is nothing here. What is this? Now I'm gonna leave the drag extremely open because this fish feels very dangerous. I apologize, my drag will be overly. This fish feels very fast. It can take a lot of line very quickly, and the ester is not good for this kind of fish. Also, it's good to keep your rod tip up in these cases. When I feel the fish is slow and head shaky, you're fine. But some fish take a lot of line very fast. If your rod tip is up and the fish pulls, I lower my wrist, I let my wrist kind of go down, and when the rod drops, you have extra 10 feet of line just by, see, it's pulling my hand. Don't keep your, oh, lost it, damn it. That could have been a hybrid or something. Man, I'm so curious, what was that? Now there might be yellow bass here, but my gosh, they're in 20 feet of water, maybe 21 feet of water. Finally, I think I found some yellow bass. 19 feet of water. This is not even... This is too deep, folks. This cold front is... There is absolutely nothing spring in this pattern. They're not even a little bit shallower on the points. Even on the points, they are too deep. And this kayak is just not. Okay. Look how far I am. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get the LUVIAS STSF. I'm gonna put a tiny trout magnet, but on a tungsten, so it sinks faster. It will still be 1.5 grams, but unlike the kayak sinks very slow because it has a big body that needs to sink. Yeah, let me get a 1.5 number 10 or 12 or something small. Okay, 1.5 number 10 or number 12, there is no telling. With some Chinese swim bait, 1-inch swim bait. 1-inch swim bait is perfect for sinking easy. I don't get, just cast this way. Yeah, this casts easier because there is less body. And I put too much line on the Arity STSF. Not Arity, I don't know why I keep saying Arity. LUVIAS. I put too much line, can you see? And the line is not flat. That's, of course, Daiwa's line lay. Sometimes I do this, you know, intentionally. Not sometimes, always. I kind of overfill the spool by, let's say, 5%. Knowing that I'm gonna have extra headache in the first, I don't know, 5 sessions. But I trim line all the time, folks. Every session with this ester. Next session, before I retire, I cut 3 feet of the line and then I go fishing. So I lose line very quickly. And that's the reason I like to start with slightly overfilled spool. That way, after 5 sessions, my spool is still 100% full. Even if you don't snag and lose line, just from fishing, come on, they're tapping it. They don't like the Chinese swim bait. I need to twitch it. That's the thing with these super tiny swim baits. The tail doesn't always work. But you can twitch it just like a trout magnet. Trout magnet doesn't even have tail. And when you twitch it, there was something. When you twitch it, you get hits. So doesn't matter how bad the tail of a Chinese swim bait is, you can always twitch it. I got 2 hits, but no connection. Finally connection. Under the boat, why I don't see this? I twitched for a long time. I don't know, I think this is the first fish on a... Wow, he spit a bunch of stuff. But that's not minnows. He spit some worms, folks. Where does he find worms? Or is this larvas? He spit some worms. It looks like worms or larvas or something like that. Look at this. This was a super glued Chinese swim bait. It took 1 yellow bass for the glue to come off. This tungsten just does not hold super glue. It's okay, let's catch a few fish. And just to make a video with the reel. And we're gonna be out of here. We're not gonna spend here very long. Are we on the bottom? I cannot see this little thing. Just kind of waiting to feel them on the bottom. Not fish? Okay. Man, it feels freaking. This little yellow bass. That's how the bluegill are gonna feel. Feels so... Feels very good, folks. I'm hearing some noise, the exact same noise that I heard from the Big Mama LUVIAS, from the vanilla 2000 LUVIAS that I have. It's a little noise like from the line roller. Some noise there. But it feels very good. This one has very low gear ratio, smaller spool. Overall, the retrieve speed is super slow. And even though this reel is tiny, when you're reeling on these fish, you feel a lot of power. Just because of the low gear ratio. I'm feeling these hits. And overall, the Eradicator feels very different with the LUVIAS compared to the Vanford. I'm not sure it's better. It's different. The Vanford has the perfect weight for me, for the Eradicator. They just feel perfect. Even though the Vanford is a cheaper reel, I feel it makes the Eradicator feel more expensive. Now this is more finessey, perhaps more fun, more puts a bigger smile on your face. What is this? But because the reel is so tiny, it makes the Vanford feel a little more plasticky instead of expensive. That's a white bass, folks. We'll take a white bass. That's a white bass, not a small white bass. Okay, small, but compared to Tennessee River, he's small, of course. He ate it deep, though. Now let's use the dehooker. Let's use the dehooker. Where is it? Chinese dehooker broke off. I ordered some new. They're not here yet. Man, I'm good with the dehooker. I'm good, folks. Okay, that was a good fight. With the, I'm gonna keep saying Airity. But the Airity feels nicer than the LUVIAS. I don't know if the resistance is lower. I think the resistance was lower too, actually. No, this one, the resistance is great. The resistance is, it does have a little bit, but that's fine. It's not gonna, that's not gonna bother you. It doesn't bother me. There is a threshold after which I can tell that the reel has a lower resistance, but I don't assign very high value to further improvements in resistance. Once it's low enough to not bother me and not attract my attention during the fishing. One thing I can't stand is while I'm fishing, I notice some flaw in the line or in the rod or in the reel, and this flaw attracts my attention and it distracts me from fishing. If I don't notice it, that means it's good. I don't need it to be perfect. Now, that's a good bite here now, and it feels good. These new drags, folks. Daiwa figured out the drag. Daiwa assigns for the importance to the drag sound now. I think they're secretly watching somebody who is telling them that the drag sound is important. Now I talked to Daiwa on iCast and they told me, who the hell are you? What, you never heard of iFish? I said. Who the hell is iFish? They said. I think they're lying. But anyway, even if it's not me, they definitely decided to start paying attention. That's a second white bass on this point. I thought I'm stopping here for just a few yellow bass to make a video. But now we're catching white bass. And white bass, no matter how small, is always fun enough with Eradicator, 500 size reel, and freaking 2-pound line. And I'm saying 2 pound, but that's the label. In the real world, you'll be lucky to get 1.5 pounds from this 2-pound line. I would never put even 1 pound on the drag. If you fish with 2-pound line, you shouldn't have more than 1/4 pound of brakes on your drag. Otherwise, you're gonna break off sooner or later. That's not how it works. It's not like you put 1/2 pound and your line is 2 pound and that prevents you from breaking off. If you put 1/2 pound of brakes on your drag, and you can measure it with lifting a water bottle, they keep hitting. Got you. Half a pound of brakes is way too much for 2-pound esterline. It is way too much. You're gonna lose big fish, because when a big fish explodes and takes 10 feet in 1 second, your drag is not gonna let that much line that fast. And also you're gonna have all kinds of damage on your line, just from transportation, from weeds, from everything. Your line is not gonna be 2-pound everywhere. It will be 2-pound where it's not damaged, but you're gonna have one nick here, one nick here. Anyway, too long of a story. But if you have half a pound of brakes with 2-pound ester line, you're gonna be breaking off and losing fish, and you're gonna be blaming the line and everybody else. If you tie a bottle of water, most of these bottles of water have 450 milligrams of water. That's a white bass too. And you try to lift the bottle of water, because not everybody has the machine to measure the drag. You should never be able to lift the bottle of water with your drag. It should be spilling good white bass, folks. That's an 8, maybe 9 inches. Let's measure one. Not because it's a trophy, just so I know what we're working with here. Pure curiosity. This, folks, is an 11-inch bass. It is past 11. It's touching. Look at this. I thought 8, 9. But I've been catching these freaking slabs on Tennessee River this year. I had sessions where every fish was over 13 inches. I think somebody ate the lure. No, it's here. It's here. But it keeps sliding off and looks horrible. You need freaking super glue or something to hold it. The only thing that bothers me is that it slides down. I apologize for repeating this, but when it comes to super gluing plastics to your jig heads, my jigs are probably one of the best things you can find. Because my jigs, and this is not something I intended to do, is just that the factory in China that makes them doesn't, I don't know, the production process is lower quality than the Japanese jig heads are. Japanese jig heads are always so smooth, but because they're so smooth, it's very difficult for super glue to hold on to them. Even the lead jig heads are so freaking smooth out of Japan. Well, my jig heads have some texture because they're not so smooth. But the texture is so fine that aesthetically doesn't bother me, but the super glue will stick to this jig head of the BG1. Oh, you don't need to do no floss, none of that business. Just the tiniest drop of the black super glue, not the blue one. Everybody uses the blue one because Richard Jeans said it and you guys went on and bought the blue one. The blue one is not waterproof and it's not flexible. The black one is a little bit softer and flexible and it's waterproof and it will hold to my jigs forever. Sometimes the hook is completely ripped off the shank and the only thing that's holding it to the jig head is not the shank of the hook but the super glue bonding to the head. There is big fish around this point. Now this lure that I'm using right now is too small to attract the big fish, I think. The Kitech, you can mess around and occasional big fish will eat it, which is why I like Kitechs. This, I don't think a hybrid will hit this. It's just too small. Yeah, here we go. aggravation. There's this noise again. Exactly like with the big sister. One is ST, one is not ST, but both of them have the identical line roller noise. They have a very specific psst. Now there is normal line roller noise, but that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing something abnormal. For example, my old LUVIAS doesn't have that noise. Another white bass. That is a good bite for this rod and reel, folks. That's a good bite. I know it's tiny, but it's 10 inches. Even this one is 10 inches. I'm fishing with size 12 hook. Now, if you want to be fishing for this fish, but keep chances for accidental black bass or hybrid or something like this, which this lake has hybrid too, you should be fishing with a Kitek because they will eat Kitek just fine. The thing is, I'm trying to make a video with this rod and reel. To make Kitek drop so deep with this big body, when it sinks, the body creates drag and slows down the sinking. And to make it sink all the way down will take forever with my lead BG1 jig heads. And the way to make it sink, I'll have to put like 2.5 gram tungsten. But then 2.5 gram tungsten is too much for the eradicator. It will, when I twitch like this, it will overload the tip. Not just the weight of the jig head, but the big body of the Kitek will overload the tip also. So I'm consciously surrendering my chances of a larger fish with this bait, but I just want to fish. I would just want to make a video with this rig and fighting this. This is a big yellow bass, just as big as the last white bass. This yellow bass, let me go put him on the... It's not a... I've caught bigger. There's one lake I fish has big yellow bass. It has 11 and 12 inches. And every time I catch one of those, it feels like I got a hybrid or striper or something. The first few seconds, they rip... Oh, I was gonna measure him. They rip line like a freaking striper. Zzz. The boat is turning around, but the fish is towards the deep end of the point. Let's fish from the back. So much comfier to fish from the back, closer to the water. Maybe one or two more of these and we're done, because this story is kind of without reeling. Did you see this? I felt the bite on the sink. Hey, 1 point for the slow sink rate club, huh? I felt this bite when it was sinking, folks. Replay this last fish. Man, it feels fun. It feels so direct. This reel has like 50. Oh, bluegill! This tells you, folks. What the? Some mosquito. I'm so far from the bank. Why is there mosquitoes here, folks? This tells you why there is no bluegill on the bank in the weeds. What is this bluegill doing? What is this bluegill doing all the way here? Look where I am. These bluegill are just too far from the bank. You know, in the spring and the summer, you always want a little bit of wind to keep the flies down in the grass. If there's no wind, they get up and start flying around to gross you out. Yeah, good bite. I know these are dinks, but Hey, we have a video with the Arity. Not Arity, god damn it. With the LUVIAS STSF. The resistance is not like on a Vanquish. It's not even like on the old Presso. The 2021 Presso, which is the same thing as this LUVIAS ST, does have a little bit lower resistance than this. But if the resistance doesn't bother me, it shouldn't bother you. Some people go way too far, way too obsessed with these things. I go fishing for the fishing. I enjoy good tackle too, but good enough is good enough for me. It doesn't have to be perfect for me to enjoy. The resistance of this reel is good enough. It's not gonna bother any normal person. You're not gonna notice it. I don't notice it. I just thought about it, so I started commenting about it, but I did not notice it in the last 30 minutes. Resistance is perfect. Smoothness is perfect. I love the super low retrieve speed. Gives you some kind of incredible torque with such a small reel. There was a bite right here. Try to get it again. Yeah. Got you. Even here. Right under the boat. The only thing that bothers me is this tiny little noise that the Big Sister has. Even though the Big Sister is supposedly different kind of reel. Big Sister is not ST. This one is ST. But they probably share the exact same line roller. Nobody there? Here he is. It's the last fish. Here's this sound again. Did you hear it? I don't like that sound. Now this is pure sound. I don't feel scratching or anything else. It's just sound. I have zero concerns about the reel not working properly. But I'm gonna be watching this sound. I don't like to open the line rollers on brand new reels, but I might do that. Well, these yellow bass still have eggs. Still have eggs in the middle of April. I thought these fish they spawn the earliest, spawn in March, but this one still has eggs due to this cold front. We still have some fish that are not done spawning. All right, folks, this was the first video with the LUVIAS STSF. Let me give you the thumbnail. What do you think? How do they look together? There is no red accents on the reel, but other than that, I think they look fine. If you really want red accents, I recommend putting the red ester from Varivas. Varivas has a 2.3 pound ester with the exact same color. If you put it on the spool, that will create a better color match. But even without it, because your hand is here, what do you think now? Look at my gloves, by the way. What beautiful gloves. Match with the tackle, with everything. Don't they match now? I think they match just fine. But yeah, this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.